look through the branches. Can you see the golden cotton bolt in this? Look to the sky. It's on the very top of the town hall, actually. So we're not far from there. That gives you a bit of an idea. That's how it's going to be. So not far from there. When he was 11 years of age, his school closed down. He decided to start up a school with his brother. He was a Quaker by religion, so he lived a modest life and he never drank alcohol. He just hired out an apartment when he lived in Manchester. He was a physician, he was a chemist, there's a chemistry measurement, which is a Dalton, a meteorologist. He spent, he wrote weather reports every day, and he became the president of the Manchester Literary and Philosophical Society. For short, we call that the Lit and Phil Society. He delivered speeches there about being colourblind. He thought he was colourblind. He died in 1844 and he left his eyes for medical research. A long time after he died, scientists confirmed he was correct and was colourblind. In lots of languages across the world, the word for colourblind starts with Dalton. France, Daltoniere; Spain, Daltonico; Italy, Daltonismo; Croatia, Bulgaria, Daltonist, and the medical term is Daltonism. What he had specifically was mixing up red and green. Building. It was given to us by Charles Sergeant Jagger, and it's called the Sentry, S-E-N-T-R-Y. It's dedicated to the workers of the Watch Brothers warehouse that went off and fight in the First World War. The names of those people that died at that war are written on that plaque there. These are just the people from this warehouse. These are the type of things you might see in the town or even in the city. So it just shows you Stone Roses signed their record contract to Silvertone Records. Does everybody know the Stone Roses?
Yeah.
Maybe not. Have you heard of Oasis?
Yes.
Well, after watching the Stone Roses live, Liam Gallagher was there and he decided to start a band. The Stone Roses became famous in the late 1980s when they were tied to that record contract with Silvertone Records. This meant they could not release their next album for another 5 years. They famously went down to London and they threw paint all over the office and the staff of Silvertone. And by the time they did release their next album, the band that they'd inspired to start, Oasis, had come along in 1994 with the fastest selling British debut album, Definitely Maybe. Let's get further into the gay village.
When is Gay Pride here?
This weekend.
This one now?
When is Gay Pride
This
here?
is going to be this weekend coming in the back holiday. That's it. Obviously, B with two E's in the word, because on the 22nd of May that year, a bomb exploded at the arena in Manchester after an Ariana Grande concert. It was a terror attack, and there was 22 victims of it. Over 100 of these bees decorated Manchester, all decorated differently. Because this bee's in the gay village, got Alan Turing on the eyes. He was a gay man. Gay venues like Kiki, other sponsors of it, and Stonewall. That was the very first gay pride riot in New York. I think it was 1969, and since then we've had gay pride all over the world. Working those buildings in their hundreds. When I say people, children as young as 6 and 7 were working in these buildings. There was no school in those days, and we'd have to work maybe 16 hours every single day. This was seen as negative. We looked like the worker bee going into the hive, and the plight of the workers was like the worker bee. But now people see this as like a sense of pride that we work hard in this city. So you see the bee everywhere around Manchester. Does anybody know what the symbol of Liverpool is? It's not a burnt out car, as somebody said last week. Does anybody know what it is, actually?
Bird. Is that the thing on the Liver building?
Yes, a bird, and it's a liver bird. In fact, the building with the two liver birds facing different directions. Does anybody know what that liver bird is? Nobody knows what that liver bird is because they've just made it up. It's a mythical bird. So ours is based on hard work. Theirs is a mythical bird. Hashtag just saying. For a long time it was a warehouse. So we need to tap into that building in there hundreds of other workers being and then in the 1980s we became headquarters for Barrington. So everybody to fill that band, they did, the owners of this band, no one there, Rhodey. He was part of Oasis. In theory, Rhodey should help bring the equipment on and off stage for the band. Apparently, the only time he had anything in his hand was a cigarette paper, and he was a very lazy young man. Nonetheless, in 1990, they gave us this song, and it's called This Is How It Feels. In 1990, only about 300 people lived in the city centre. 300, and there wasn't a single supermarket. Now you would not struggle to find a supermarket and accommodate over 60,000 people in the city centre. That's another thing that's changed dramatically. This is how it feels. Mark Kennedy is a popular ceramic artist in the area and is commissioned by Manchester Council in 2005 to give us 17 of these gay pride flags. Most of them are in the gay village, but they are elsewhere around Manchester, and they are all for the LGBTQIA+ community. And all the colours have different meanings. Red is for life, orange is for healing, yellow is for sunlight, green is for nature, sky blue is for serenity, and the dark blue is for harmony. And this one stands in front of the Beacon of Hope, which is dedicated to those that have died of AIDS and HIV. It starts in 1981 and it goes up to 2022 so far, but later this year we'll get an update of last year's events. However, a few years ago somebody had full-blown AIDS and they made a full recovery. That just shows you how far medicine is advanced. You're talking about being able to block it in 6 or 8 years, obviously, really will. And this is what he had to say about AIDS. He said, I see increasing evidence of people swirling about in the human cesspit of their own making. We must ask why homosexuals freely engage in obnoxious practices knowing the dangers involved. His daughter, Joanna, came out as a lesbian. She sold her story to the press. As you might imagine, the whole spotlight was on Manchester, and they disowned each other. They never spoke to each other ever again. One of the bands from this area are called the Happy Mondays. Their lead singer is a man named Sean Ryder, and he used to get into trouble with the police. He probably still does, but he wrote a song called God's Cop. In that he sings about, I get into trouble, I get away with it, so God must be watching out for me. Also, our chief of police thinks he's giving us messages from God, so he's also ridiculing James Anderson at the same time. Which opened in 1894. This building has a terracotta finish that became very fashionable in Manchester's architecture because of the pollution of the Industrial Revolution. Soot was sticking to brick like that across the road, so we put the bricks in extreme heat, gave it a glazed finish, and it was self-cleaning because we know that it rains a lot in Manchester, so the rain just washed away soot from buildings like this. So by the late 1800s, there was lots of examples of a terracotta finish. That's what we call a flat iron building. It's more of a triangle shape, so there's lots of them. Behind that we've got another terracotta finish. Orange Street building, that's the one with the fire station. The story goes he was so happy when he found out about displacement, he ran straight out of his bath to tell the king the news. This was groundbreaking in science, and he also found out that every time you get in the bath, the phone rings. I'm joking about that bit. So that's a regular £2 coin. So it came into in circulation in Britain in 1997, and there's a quote on the side of it, and it's from Isaac Newton. Not only did he work for the Royal Mint himself for 30 years, but he coined the phrase on the side of that coin in 1673 when he was asked, how and why are you so good at what you do in science? And he said, if I see further, that's because I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. Noel Gallagher is dyslexic. When he looked at that coin, he thought it said, standing on the shoulder of giants, just singular and not plural. 3 years later, the next Oasis album was called Standing on the Shoulder of Giants. When I told my cousin this, Owen, he asked me, is it because he's stupid as well? I said, I don't know. He just reckons he's dyslexic. But I do know his father, Tommy. See, if the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, then quite possibly it's also stupid as well. That's where Newton's family were. Well, we've got varying stories because he was studying gravity at Cambridge University, so rumour has it that maybe if there was any evidence of it, you'd find it. They've just been chopping as well recently, so I don't think there's much chance. But somebody told me recently on the tour, they've done a similar thing in Hong Kong and it's fruited really well there, but with it being shaded with the bridges, we weren't very lucky with it, so I think it has now gone.
Put it in my thermos flask. Now I have been told that my mind is polluted, but if there is no water, I'll just drink it undiluted. If Jesus was alive today, he would have done it a different way, spending all his time turning water into the...
Okay, that's called the Battle Hymn of the Republic, and it references the American Civil War. Where else would you hear this song other than in a church? No. Okay, you'd hear it at Old Trafford. Manchester United, they sing Glory, Glory, Man United. When the players managed to reach it to a cup final in 1983, the players released this on record, and their fans. It's named after Joshua Brooks, and he was the parson of the cathedral in Manchester in the mid-1800s. So because of the Industrial Revolution, thousands of people were living and working in people like Paul McCartney and OMD and all the bands from around this area. Okay, it's called Factory because Tony Wilson thought there was lots of factories closing down in real life in the northwest of England, so he set up that record label and he called it Factory. From 1989, this was their office. I found out about that melody just over 20 years ago, and it was from my ex-girlfriend's uncle. Christina's uncle is a man named Damien Hughes and is a joiner or a carpenter. He also happens to be a drummer, and one day he had a Going further down the other way, on the right we've got Manchester Art Gallery on Mosley Street. Lots of pre-Raphaelite artwork in the art gallery. There's also a classic in there, given to by the French artist Pierre Adolphe Follette. It shows the padlock, the side of the refuge assurance, and then your house and the let to the mentor of Ellis Lowry. He was from this area and is famous for painting matchstick men, cats and dogs. Lots of Lowry's artwork in that art gallery as well. But the bulk of this is at the Lowry Centre near the City, and that's a 20-minute train, a tram ride away. Okay, we're going to go into the hotel. If we look back at the bridge, on the other side of this, you'll see two red invaders. This time, they look like... This is the oldest Pac-Man machine in Manchester, if not the whole of Britain, actually. Been in this area over 20 years. You get 10 goals on it for 50 pence. That's how old it is. It'd be at least £1 a goal these days, wouldn't it? But yeah. So Martin, he'll be here every Saturday, DJing. But they have music, entertainment throughout the whole week here. We have comedy nights. Every Wednesday we'll have live jazz on there. They'll move down the tables out of the way. It's free to get in. Tomorrow, Thursday, will be quiz night. Tony brings us new music every Tuesday. Quite a wide selection on the beer. A few Spanish beers. We've got Necco. Next to that, we've got Crystal Gold written in white. That's a Joseph Holtz brew. Joseph Holtz was a brewer from North Manchester. There's lots of Joseph Holtz pubs in the area. The beer in there tends to be quite strong and quite cheap as well. And Manchester, if you would like to see what the hot face looks like, look at this gold. back from the Industrial Revolution, with people going into mills and factories in northern Brazil, the worker bee going into the hive. Horses would have travelled for miles to get to this building, so maybe they would have been thirsty. But you didn't have far to go and get the water. In fact, for a long time there was a lever at the side, that has been removed, but the tap is still there, so get your bucket under there and under that green tap and back down to your horse. You didn't have far to go at all. But on this blackboard it says the post room, which was just in this. This is where the mail was sorted, but let's take a step up and look at the posts. Football league, foosball, table football, two versions of it, the Spanish version and the French one. I think this is the French one more square. But don't play anyone that's from Spain at this because they'll beat you, or South America even, yeah, because they've got them all over the pub set. They're really, really good at this. Table football, football league, little football. It's a good film to watch actually, to see how Manchester's architecture has changed since then. There wasn't a single skyscraper there. Now Greater Manchester has 20. Birmingham only has 6, and Liverpool, Leeds only have 3 each. It's like a beautiful city. It's cool. And all of a sudden they're going out. But now they're on shopping. The insurance company were in this building back until 1986, so by this time there were about 1,000 clerks working here, all in this area, and at the end of their shift they would punch that information into the computer, which took up all of this room here, including where the bar is. That's how big the computer was. This shows you how far technology has come along over 30 odd years, because most people have a phone on them, it's pocket size, and effectively it's a computer. I need one of your phones that will be more powerful than that huge computer that took up all of this room. It's now the dining room, got the winter gardens, the pub club in general building. It was given to us by Charles Sergeant Jagger, and it's called the Sentry, S-E-N-T-R-Y. It's dedicated to the workers of the Watch Brothers warehouse that went off and fight in the First World War. The names of those people that died at that war are written on that plaque there. These are just the people from this warehouse, but these are the things you might see in the town or even in the city. It just shows you